Well, ideal is a loaded word. So for me, education is a journey. And education is a journey to discovering myself. So it's all about me. So whatever a child learns in education is about him understanding himself in the context of first himself and then his family, and then how he communes with the community and society at large, and their problems and ills and the issues that happen between these spaces where he is in conflict, whether it's freedom or whether it's restrictions, the conflict, he sees that. And as he grows older, these ideas get more and more clear, and then you have the nation as a whole, and then you become a global citizen, where you understand bigger responsibilities of environment, for example, as becoming part of the whole human race. As you move further, you will reach a point where you connect completely with the universe, and that is where education has reached its highest goal in spirituality. But this is not a journey which you can give to the child in small little boxes of geography or history or science or math that you push into him. In the same way that you cannot become a spiritual person by simply donning saffron clothes or sitting in some mountain. So all of those are processes that need to happen inside, where like a flower it will bloom and you understand things better. So that is what education is all about. When we understand education in this context, then we need to move from what we are doing right now. So there is a lot of hypocrisy in the way in which we educate. So for example, we want children to have teamwork, but you will find everything is in cutthroat competition mode, isn't it? So no one is sharing anything because we are all competing for that spot at that 98.2% or whatever, and we don't want to give a shred of anything to anyone. So there is a clear conflict between what you're saying is desirable and what you are actually doing. And you will find this throughout school systems, where if you say that you have to be punctual, you will have 10 people waiting outside the principal's office on a daily basis, spending time, and that's not punctuality. So the child is not quite sure what you want him to learn, and there is going to be a lot of conflict, confusion, and distrust in the system, in adults, in everything. So it's pernicious. For me, if you want to move that to another place, one of the first things we need to do is for the teacher to be aware that there are issues like this. So when you look at teacher education today, it is redundant, it is archaic, and it does not equip that teacher to be a teacher in a school. For example, they have a paper on explanation, but if you actually think about it, the minute you start explaining, the child shuts down his thinking, doesn't he? So therefore, explanation is not what we should be doing. Even if we thought earlier that was the way to go, I think we need to jettison that at this point. You need to facilitate. That is what you need to do. So what is the role of a facilitator? She needs to understand resources. Her own reading and knowledge needs to be wide. She needs to know where to look for information. That school is not teaching you to do that. It's not showing you how you can be a better facilitator. Teacher education is not showing you how to correct, how to question. So some of the most essential skills that a teacher needs when she enters that classroom is not available to her. If you look at gifted education, it will be a footnote somewhere in the special needs. You've got problems like this with that teacher education, which needs to change on a war footing. We come to teachers. So what will typically be told to you is that there are no teachers. If we increase teaching colleges, and even if we change this curriculum, you are not going to find teachers to teach. There are few resources, whether they are trainers, whether they are teachers. When we talk of good teachers and good trainers, they are very few and far between. That is where technology comes to your aid. Now technology is one thing that can connect me right now to a lack of people who can view me instantly. So when you have that technology, one of the things that we need to do again, which the HRD ministry should do, I think, is to create connectivity so that your remote areas are connected to these people who are scarce, who are going to give them training. So you can actually do it online even without Infrastructure, if you only make sure that they have the necessary internet connectivity, the Wi-Fi or whatever else they need in order to connect from some remote hamlet in Himachal Pradesh to, let us say, a studio in Mumbai. So there are ways to solve those problems, but we need to put them on a priority basis. So education then needs to be skills based. We are not creating autonomous learners. We are creating children who are delivering what other people's thoughts. So if you teach Napoleon, then the child is not able to do Ashoka on his own. He still needs a teacher. So there is a dependency that we encourage, which I think needs to stop. So skills-based education is extremely important. If you look at, if you want quick change, if you change that board examination and you create thinking questions and you create questions of application or originality, everything will automatically change in my view, because then you will find suddenly an industry cropping up that will start moving towards thinking, books will be written, teachers will train, and the whole thing will move forward. The problem is you have one board exam. You shouldn't. When you look at the plurality of India and the tiers of levels of people that we have, who have different aspirations and different strengths and different needs in a wide country, you cannot have one board examination for the city dweller and for this person sitting in an agricultural setting or someone who wants to pursue a different kind of craft in a village. You can't have the same subjects and the same exam and put them through the same thing to claim that they are educated. So I think that is a problem. So those board exams need to be viewed in a different light. Parents need to be educated. The problem with parents is they are part of the conspiracy. There's a mediocrity that we encourage. So the same parent who will talk ill about the system very comfortably will then go and protest against change when change is offered to her, because she will then move her fingers and blame everybody around. So the blame game happens everywhere. So everyone is blaming everyone for the problem. You point to the board exams, you point to the 98% marks, but what you don't say is that there are other options. So the options are not clear. The career counseling in terms of the number of opportunities available today is not clear to the child. So he is stuck in grooves where he needs to move forward. He believes he needs to go to one of the three colleges which offers one of the three streams of knowledge. This is what it has come down to. So that entire psychosis of marks that we see around us, including the suicides and the depression, everything that attends it, I think comes from the fact that we have narrowed ourselves, that entire population, into these 3 or 4 spaces instead of looking at the wide variety of opportunities available. So vocational streams become important, and Skills India, or skills building that the Prime Minister has talked about, I think is an excellent initiative and it needs to go forward. Hopefully it will. An inquiry curriculum needs to be set up where it doesn't matter whether it is saffron or green or white education. You cannot saffronize an inquiry system, because essentially when you put something in front of me, my entire mode at that point is to inquire. So the text, whatever text you put in front of me, is going to be just one source from which I get information. I'm still going to read other sources in order to come to a discussion and then a debate and a conclusion, and very often will be very happy to sit in the grey and say maybe I don't have enough information, or I'll be happy to change it if more information comes through. So that kind of learning we need to start moving into, which clearly means the methods need to change. So going with the nature of the child, who is fun-loving, who's active, who's imaginative, who's curious. The question to ask is your curriculum that? And if it is not, we need to start moving our methods into those spaces more deliberately. Evaluations, as I said, need to change. I'm also concerned about apprenticeship. So you will find in India that you use taxpayers' money to subsidize your education, your higher education, to unbelievable limits, and then you give nothing back to the country. So you go out after that and then you serve the United States of America or UK or some other place that uses this education that you got subsidized in India and then you create value for that country. I think that is wrong. So I think if people are going out, they need to pay back or they need to work. We should have something like that where value comes back into the country. So if you do this, an ideal education, there's a long way to go.